Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. I am going to check. I'm going to check and see how many ads YouTube put on the last video, and I'll take them mostly down. Where is that? There we go. How is everyone today? In America, we lost an hour's sleep on Saturday night. Let's see, live. Okay, I'm live now. What's this one? Monetization, manage mid rolls. Boom. Oh, dang it. They put in a million of them again. What did I didn't I put one in? I thought I did like 36. I'm going to keep that one. I don't remember the other one I did, but all right. Saving. Wendy, what's going on? It's Monday already? What? Almost on time. A little late, Bruce. I was up in plenty of time. But, gosh, I got too much stuff right here. I gotta clean this up a little bit. Got picks and capos and tuners. Oh my. I got a string lifter. You don't know what a string lifter is. It's an amazing little invention. Look at that. Real simple. A piece of bent metal with some 6 grooves on it, if you can see that. And what you do is you loosen your strings and you put this under here like this. And now you've got a dobro. So I do that sometimes on electric, sometimes on acoustics. I haven't done it to this one. Mainly I use it on the resonator. And go back and forth between being fretted and slide. So we're gonna do more on a jazz chord. We're gonna do the key of G for this jazz chord extravaganza. Well, we'll probably do 2 keys. Last week it was a lot of explanation and then some examples. And we did the key of C. I think we did the 2-5 was something like that. Really nice. Oh, it's snowing in Ohio. Good. I mean, not good. It's freaking March. What is it? March 13th. Holy cow. When's the first day of spring? March 21st? Yeah, we've got the next 10 days is cold. Cold. We've not had I would say we've not had a warm day all year. We haven't gotten to 80 at all this year. And normally, by now, we would have had 2 weeks of 90s. Usually 2 separate weeks. We almost always get a week of 90s in the 8 in January. Like the year I moved here in 1980, see, what was that? 83. It was gorgeous for 2 weeks. And it was 80s, and I was like, oh my gosh, I made the right move from Indiana because it was cold in Indiana. And I remember I had a subscription to the LA Times, and it had all the weather all over the country, and I was like, that's how you would find out what the weather was in Indiana. and then after that, it was 2 weeks of just solid rain. It's kind of what we've been doing, although it hasn't been solid for 6 weeks. But it was like February 1st to middle March, it was raining nonstop. And I was like, wait a minute, what did I move into? I thought it doesn't rain in Southern California. Oh, David's in for a little bit. Oh, good. Yeah, and I just deleted all but 3 of the ads. Sorry about that. Oh, in fact, I don't think. Okay, I forgot to monetize this one. I mean, we should be fine, but yeah. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing. I'm gonna try to and I know I get people complain about you talk too much. For me, when I would study or watch someone play, when I would study with someone, or when I would study their playing, or when I would watch someone play, I wanted to know how they were thinking. Like, how did they get to the point of doing what they were doing? Because I felt like if I could have that same thinking, I could do it too. It was more like, it wasn't necessarily a lack of ability on the hands, dexterity. It was more of a lack of knowledge, or a lack of knowing the paths or things that work over certain. And I still feel that way. I mean, I still watch guitar players and go, wow, how did he come up with that? And so, like gypsy jazz guitar players, or bluegrass guitar players, or jazz guitar players, they all, often I'll just be watching them and go, wait, how did he think that? Or how did she think of that? And so, I'm going to try to share some of my thinking as I'm creating, in this case, some simple 2-5-1 progressions, but we're going to do them in an open position. So these chords are not movable. I talked about that a lot last week. Normally when we do like that right there, D minor 7, flat 5, G7, sharp 5, C major 7, I can move that up here, D sharp minor 7, flat 5, I'm sorry, yeah, D sharp minor 7, flat 5, G sharp 7, sharp 5, C sharp major 7, E minor 7, flat 5, A7, sharp 5, D major 7. I can move it, but when we're dealing with open chords, the laws of congruity the congruent naming of the chords are not going to hold true. So I'm trying not to knock over my coffee here. I have yet to do that, but there's always a first time. What I want to do is I want to start with, again, what we did last time was we did the C scale. We did 2 octaves of the C scale written out, okay? So we're going to do the key of G, which is 1 sharp. Sorry, am I getting questions I didn't? Yeah, I know, right, Holly? The clocks have moved ahead. I have not. Getting the left hand around is a challenge. Yeah, it definitely is. The more you can have the guitar in your hand, the better. Just even if it's just sitting in front of the TV and noodling around on chords, keeping that dexterity going, finding shapes that work for you too. But thank you, Bruce, for all the info. Beth's school got canceled today. They had a gas leak, had a chemical leak, and their brand new high-tech pool was leaking chlorine gas. It's like, are you kidding? Oh my gosh, they paid a fortune for that pool. So they canceled school. Oh, Alan is lurking. Okay, Peter's in Vermont. I knew that, Peter. You're welcome to join us. Always. Everyone's welcome. Just don't be a troll. So it's been a while since we've had a troll, hasn't it, Bruce and Holly and Dennis? Okay, so let me write out the G major scale. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Interesting. It says there's a bunch of diagrams here, but I don't see them. Oh, because I moved. That's why. Okay, that's interesting. I got all these. I forgot about those diagrams. Okay, let me see if I have those. I do know. I do have them. Okay, just close this. Desktop, YouTube. Oh, there they are. Okay. Okay, so yeah, oh, that's right. So last week we did these things, okay? Boop. where we did the different chords. Okay, here was the kind of the basic 2-5-1, just for a refresher. And then here was the kind of cool jazzy one we did. All right. But we came up with some seventh chords, major and minor seventh, major and dominant seventh chords, and some minor seventh chords too. But that's just a refresher. Oh, I did. Oh, C major 13. Oh, that's a nice chord. I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah. So we had that bottom one there. That's got. If you can bar 3 strings, it's a beautiful chord. And then if you want to put that G on top, it kind of makes it almost kind of imply a B flat 13, but not really. Yeah, that's a beautiful chord, the C major 13. Okay, so that's what we did last week. So, wow, you guys are getting a lot of snow. That's crazy. Yeah, we had snow in LA. Okay. So let's see. So what I want to do is I want to add a text thing. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Well, I'll just start big and make it small. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm writing out a 2-octave G scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay, I'm writing out G scale twice, basically. All right, and the reason I'm doing this is so that we can see that whole, we can start counting up. So if I go to G, start on the first G, and skip a letter, I get G, B, skip another letter, D, skip another letter, F sharp. That's a G major 7 chord. If I start on A and go A, skip a letter, C, skip a letter, E, skip a letter, G, A, C, E, G, that's A minor 7 chord. That's your 2 chord. If I go a 2 minor, and that's a 2-7 chord, I could just do triads. That would just be doing 3 notes, like B, D, F would be a B minor triad. But if I add that A, it becomes B, D, F sharp, A, and that becomes the 3 minor 7 chord. And we're going to talk about 2-5-1 progressions, which means the 5, if we count up 5, G, A, B, C, D, we end up on D, and you think every other letter from D, D, F sharp, A, C. Now, if you're like, well, how did you come up with the G major scale? Well, there's a formula for major scales, and basically it's just whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and that's true for all major scales. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And what that means is G to A on the guitar is a whole step. It's 2 frets apart. A to B is 2 frets apart. B to C, we need a half step, so there's your half step. Cool, we didn't have to do anything. C to D is another whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step, but we need a whole step, so we raise the F to F sharp and we get a whole step. And then we finish with a half step and we get G. And this will work every time, no matter what note you start on. And you can do this all on one string. You can pick any note on any string and you create a major scale. There's B, whole step, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? It doesn't matter what note you start on. If you follow that formula, you're going to end up with a major scale. Also known as, Aeolian? No, that's minor. Dang it, my brain. I think I'm getting old. Sam will know. I bet it's beautiful there, Peter. I bet it's beautiful there all year round. Vermont's one of the few states I haven't been to. Shouldn't say few. There's probably 20 that I haven't been to. Most of the West, like Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana. I've been to Utah, Colorado, but I haven't been to like Kansas, except the airport. Ionian. Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is who's the teacher and who's the student. All right. So if we do the I didn't save this document, did I? No, I did not. So let me create another Pages doc. A minor 7. Okay. The 5 chord is going to be a D7. Okay. And I say okay way too much. Pardon for that. And I'm going to show you basic ways to play these in open position. And then G major 7 would be that. And I use a triangle to denote the word major. So A minor 7 can simply be played nothing on the bottom string, open 2, open 1, open. That's one way to play it. D7, very common way to play that would be open 2, 1, 2. Or open, I'm sorry, nothing, open 2, 1, 2. G major 7, well, we can kind of do it this way, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, boom, like this. Okay, so let me do a little screen grab of this. There we go. My not perfect screen grabs. I guess I'll call this number 6 or something. I don't know. All right. So this right here is a very simple way to play a 2-5-1 progression in open position in the key of G. 2. All right. Now, one of the things we can do with a minor 7 chord is flat the 5. Well, the problem with this particular A minor 7 chord, I just hit my coffee. Didn't I just say I might knock it over? What's this? Oh. All right. So, there we go. Move the mics out of the way. We have two. The problem is we have two E's, and which are the fifths. If we look again, if we go down to the scale right down here at the bottom here, and go A, skip a letter C, skip a letter E, and G. Those are the notes in our A minor 7 chord. A 7th chord is going to have 4 notes. Every other note from the A to the 7th. 1, 3, 5, 7. All right, so 4 notes. 7th chords are 4-note chords. All right. You don't have to have all 4 notes. Like I said before, you could have just the 3rd and the 7th, and the bass player is going to. That implies an A minor 7 chord just fine. Okay. So, but the problem is we have an E here, right, on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and we have an E up here. We can't flat the high E string. So if we were to make this a little bit more interesting, we could do this, and then just not hit the 1st string, okay? So you don't want to hit the 1st string, but if I just, sorry, I should move this G scale over a little bit. I want it, there we go. Make it a little smaller, bring it over here. All right. And you can do that, write that down on a piece of paper, that the G major scale. I pinned the Discord invite, so you can go to the Discord link, and from there you can see the diagrams to over here, and I'll add this. Anything I do today, I'll add to that, to Tom's lesson plan, lessons and PDFs or whatever. Okay, so we can play that. The other thing we do is we can put the 7th on top. That's a bit of a stretch, not an easy chord. It is pretty though. But what I've done there is I'm looking for the E notes in the 5 in this minor 7th chord, and I'm flattening them. So this E here, it goes down to E flat. creates more tension. Now we're out of the key technically, but that's all right. And that E flat really wants to go down to the D, right? You hear that? So that makes the motion or the movement or the tension or the pull to the D7 even stronger than just a pure A minor 7 to D7. You can even do that. You could even go A minor 7, flat 5, and then to D. Do the same thing with the D chord, which we're going to get to in a second. All right. So, yeah, so that's the kind of thinking that I'm doing. I'm trying to have motion inside the inside notes. A lot of times your bass is determined because you want the 2 chord, you want the 5 chord, you want the 1 chord. And the top note is determined because maybe you're trying to play some kind of melody. You know, so your top note may be less flexible if you're trying to kind of cover a melody or something in there, all right? But it's those middle note movement that you can really get some fun and interesting things going on. So if you're finger picking, here's the thing. If you're using your fingers, you're probably only going to play 4 notes at a time anyway. So grabbing this chord is probably no problem. And again, the voicing on that is open, 1, open, 1 on the middle 4 strings. Yeah, exactly. Baraba. Yeah, that's Barada Baba. When you look at these chords in this way, you kind of think more about the notes than the shapes, and that's actually not a bad thing. Okay, but again, we can't bring in that E string. It's going to be a little weird. So there's a couple ways we could do this, where I'm playing open and then barring my first finger on the top 4 strings. So this is not an easy chord. This is we're almost to the point of playing like a bar chord up the neck. But open 1, 2, 1, 3, and I'm kind of reaching that through with my pinky. Or you could do this. Yeah. So the flat 5 is kind of the most common thing to do over the minors, the 2 chord. You could do sharp 5, but that just ends up sounding like an F2 chord. So that one's not so common. Oh, 93 below 0. That's crazy. Oh, the coldest experience, sorry. Yeah, for me it was 80 below in Indianapolis, and I went to work stupidly, not knowing that all my students weren't going to show up. And I went to the guitar store. I told this story, and I curbed it. When I came out of the parking lot to go home, I caught my tire on the curb, and my tire cracked. Just like it was flat like a mile later. I was like, oh man, it was 80 below and I got a flat tire and I didn't have gloves on. And I barely had a coat. I was already, I think at that point, I was well into my desired plan to move to California. Okay, so on the A minor 7, I think I will just go, okay, let's just play those. I'll keep it simple. Just don't play the E string if you can help it. You can even lay down your second finger, okay? But I'm gonna write it out like I did here, right there. But I'm gonna wait until I have all 3 chords. Okay, so D7 is here. Now remember, we've talked about there's a couple things you can do to alter a dominant 7th chord. In this case, the D7. You can mess with the 5 and you can mess with the 9. Well, you go, well, there's no 9 here. And I go, we can add the 9. So if I made it a D9 chord, that kind of would be a D9 chord, but there's no third in there, so it's a little difficult to do a 4-string ninth chord. I could go there again. There's no third. I could do this. That would be technically I've got the ninth, I've got the third, and I've got the seventh. Really want the third and seventh in there for sure if you can. So I could also play technically if I just did this. That would be a D9, but there'd be no D in the bass. I have no D in it. I've got an E, which is the ninth. I've got an A, which is the fifth. I've got a C, which is the seventh, and I've got an F sharp, which is the third. It's a great sounding chord, but it's not a ninth. But anyway, we could add I could add like there. I'm adding a seventh here and a ninth. And I've got my third up here, and then here's the flat 9 and the D string. So you do something like, and then we'll figure it out in a second. I'm still haven't decided what chords I'm going to use. But let's not worry about altering a ninth. We have a fifth here. So the fifth is right here on the third string. It's the A note, okay? If we go down here to the scale and go D, skip a letter, F sharp, there's our third. Go to the fifth, which is 2 more up, that's A, and the seventh is 2 more up, which is C. D, F sharp, A, C. That's really hard to do, to point at those letters. And that's... I've got all 4 of those notes here. I've got the D, the 1, I've got the 3 on top, I've got the 5th here, and I got the 7th here. Okay. See you later, Dave. So I've got the 5th, so I can go with a flat 5, which is great. Listen. That's not bad. Or I could go sharp 5. I wouldn't play it necessarily like that. I could play it like this. Okay, so I'm going open D, 3rd fret on the 3rd string, 1st fret on the 2nd string, and 2nd fret on the 1st string. So we have D, A sharp, which is the sharp 5, C natural, and F sharp. And that would be a D sharp, or D7 sharp 5, or a D7 augmented, you could call it that. If we went the other way, it would be D, A flat, C, F sharp. I think this one's probably a little easier, so I want to stick with the easiest ones I can find. So maybe just... And I'm playing a 3rd fret on the bottom string, and then I'm not playing the next string. I'm kind of muting it with the fleshy part of my index finger, or middle finger. And then open, 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 2nd fret. So I end up with G, D, G, B, and F sharp. It's kind of nice. So I'll write that one out for you. And this way you'll get to see some of the names too. A minor 7, flat 5. And then D7, flat 5. The sharp 5 was also very cool, but I felt like the flat 5 was a little bit easier. And then the G major 7, I'm just doing, again, I'm simplifying it a little bit from how I played it a second ago, or earlier. All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so here we go. So So here would be the jazzier version in open, the 251 in the key of G. Now, the you could also go to the 6th chord at that point, and maybe go to the dominant 6th chord, which would be an E7 of some kind. And also mess around, particularly with a top note. Oops. Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of catching up here on the live stream. AJ's in the house. Morning, AJ. Hey, Lena. Good to see you. Question. When we say individual flat note, we say A flat. We put the flat sign to the right. Yeah. So when we're talking about the value, we say flat 5. You're right. And then, but if I were to talk about what that flat 5 is, I would say E flat. Yeah, flat E flat or flat E. You could say the flat E, but that would just sound funny, right? And you could say 5 flat, but that would sound funny. I'm not sure why it happened that way. I probably had that same question years ago. But now I just accept it. I've been programmed. I'm just part of the machine. There's no real way to answer that question, I don't think. I think it's just, and I, in music, the sharp, if in written music, the sharp is to the left, right? So if you were to do an accidental or something like that, you write the sharp or the flat or the natural sign to the left of the musical note. So it's only in analyzing that you use the flat 5 or the flat 7 or the flat 2 or the whatever, the flat 9. You use that term. Okay, let me see if I can come up with another one here. Let's see. Okay, I'll do one that's a little bit more difficult. So if this one is like, okay, that's cool, but give me something a little more challenging. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to also, it's still going to be A minor 7 flat 5, or 5 flat for Lena. All right, let's see. And that would be 2. Sorry, 1, 2, 1, 3. And then I think we'll go with the D7 sharp 5 this time. And that would be XX 0, 3, 1, 2. And then I'm going to do like a cool G major. We could do like a G major 13. Kind of like that C major 13. This a little bit of a handful, but it's a beautiful chord. So I'm basically playing 3rd fret on the bottom of my 2nd string, okay? Then I'm muting the A string again. I'm putting the pinky on the F sharp and the 1st finger on the A, and then playing the top 2 strings open. So what I have is the root, the major 7th, the 9th, the 2nd, and the 13th. Okay. So that one was, I'm going to call that G triangle 13 and 3, 4200. All right, let me do a screen grab of this. And this can be the more advanced open jazz voicing. All right. Bring it over here. All right. So now what I want to do is we're going to go to the next key. Okay, the next key, if we count up 5 from G, A, B, C, D, 5, the 5th of C, G is the next major key. So C had no sharps, no flats, right? G had 1 sharp, 1 flat. I'm sorry, 1 sharp. D has 2 sharps. Okay, so we're going to go to D. So I'm going to delete all that, and I'm going to write 2 octaves of a D major scale. And it may be a little bit, I may have to squish it a little bit just so, because I've got 2 sharps in there now. All right, you can see it's bigger than the window. So I'm going to bring this a little smaller here like that. There we go. So now we can kind of do the same thing with, let's see, I can get rid of these. Move. Yes. Okay. And I'll drag these over here and make them smaller. Okay. So we've talked about these. I'll leave them up there for a little bit longer and then I'll take them down. And again, I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. So I'm just part of that was like complete lack of planning and preparation and just pure laziness. Also but the other part of it is I want you to see how I'm thinking. Okay. So we, with the key of D, we've got the 1 chord, which is D major 7. So again, if we start on D and play every other note, D, F sharp, skip G and go to A, skip B and go to C sharp, we end up with this Color My World chord. So let's see. So we have D major 7. That's probably how we're going to end up playing it right there. Remember how we played D minor 7 flat 5? You just move that finger up a fret and we end up with D major 7. Okay. Now the 2 chord is E, G, B, and D. That would be E minor 7. The easiest way to play E minor 7 is something like this. We're going to run into that same problem we had with A minor 7 in that we have 2 B notes and one of them, 2 5 notes, the 5, and one of them is open. Makes it very difficult to flat it. Now I think that's probably what we're going to do, which sounds great. So it won't be impossible at all. So the 2 chord is E, skip F sharp, G, skip A, B, skip C sharp, and we end up with D. E, G, B, D. Yeah, sorry. E, G, B, D, yeah. Okay? And I have 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. If I flat the 5. Oh yeah, thanks Pepper. Don't forget to like. How many likes do I have? What's our peak here? Let me look and see. We're kind of just coming off our beat. 28. That's not bad for this time when we got 19. Okay, well, almost everybody that's on is liked, so that's good. Sometimes it's hard to like if you're watching me on TV or something like that. You can like it still, but you have to kind of use your remote control to kind of fish around and find it. It's kind of a pain. Thank you, Wendy. Okay, so the 2 chord is E minor 7. If we count up 5 from D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, that's the starting note for the 5 chord. So that would be A, skip a note, and then we get C sharp. Skip a note, we get E. Skip a note, we get G. All right, so I can do. So basically what I'm doing is so for my the two chord, I'll write out the simple E minor 7. We can do this, and A7, and then D major 7. You can even just almost do the whole thing with your first finger. Okay, let me write that out. And then let's see, where am I? Here I am. Okay. So that's E minor 7. This would be kind of the basic, unaltered, very simple harmonically, no surprises version of the 2-5-1 in the key of D. All right, and then what's a D major 7? Okay. All right. Screen grab. All right. This is example number 9 so far. Okay. So I'm just going to go through all the values of the notes in these chords. Okay, E minor 7. You can play that with your first finger, second finger, third finger, pinky if you want. I don't care. Maybe the second finger makes the most sense. Okay, we have the root E. Then this is the 5th B. Here's a D. That's the 7th G. You might want to, go through notes in these chords and try to figure out, okay, which is the G? Oh, that's the 3rd. You can use your scale at the bottom here to go, okay, E, G, B, D, 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, you can start to find these. Hey, knees. Oh, good. You don't have to drive 3 hours to work. Okay, good. And then the B string, which is the 5, and then the E string. So we have 2 E's, we have 2 B's, and we have a D and a G. And the D and the G are what I call, or what are called the guide tones. That's the 7th and the 3rd of any chord, of any 7th chord. The 7th and the 3rd are the guide tones. So I can apply an E minor 7 just by hitting those 2 notes. So if bass player's playing this, and I'm playing 2 strings open because I'm lazy. But yeah, so the guide tones are all you need to apply, and those are the 2 middle notes in that. Okay, let's go to the A7 chord. Nothing on the bottom string. We want the lowest note to be the A, or the root. So that's A. If we look on our chart down here, over here, A, C sharp, E, and G. We're taking every other letter, and we end up creating a 7th chord. And so what we have is here's an A, which is the root. We have an E, which is the 5th. We have a G, which is the 7th. Here's the C sharp, which is the 3rd, and another E. So this one makes it maybe a little bit more difficult to flat the E again, because to make it like a flat 5 chord, you could do an augmented. That's not awful. I could do an A7, add a sharp 5. In other words, I have a 5 and a sharp 5. I have an E and an E sharp, aka F. It sounds very Spanish. That's a very very flamenco thing to do. But yeah, I can flat. Anyway, we'll get that in a second. Okay, now let's go to the next chord, the D major 7. And so basically what I did was I took a D chord, and I had 2 Ds in a D chord, the open D string and the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and I took that 3rd fret note down a fret to give me my major 7th. So I end up with, if you again look at the scales down here, the 2-octave scale, D, skip, F sharp, skip, A, skip, C sharp. Okay, so that's, what did I say? Oh, did I say something? Take a sip. All right. Knees wants to know if Holly's in bed. We can get really inappropriate here, guys. Careful. Okay, so I'm not saying anything. I'm not implying you were, but it's just funny. Are you in bed? What are you wearing? Like, y'all know what I'm wearing. I don't have a clue what you all are wearing. So, okay. So yeah, so we got a very simple version of a 2-5-1 progression in jazz. In the key of D. And then the 6th chord could be a B7, which leads really nice to the E minor 7. Okay, but those are what I would call vanilla jazz chords. They're pretty boring and they're fine, but there's occasional times where you're going to want to have a little bit more interesting voicings. Okay, so here's my thinking. I want to have a flat 5 again on the E minor 7. It's kind of a given. We're going to do a flat 5 on the 2 chord. So, but if I take this B down to B flat, I've got another B here that's going to be sticking out like a sore thumb. Like that's not going to work. So I can get rid of that B by playing the D up here, which is the 7th. So now I'm going to have 2 Ds in this chord, which means I have 2 7ths, which is fine. And the thing is, I can play all 6 strings and end up on the open E string. So I'm playing open, 1, open, open, 3, open. And I'm playing that D up here with my pinky. You can play with your 3rd finger if you're feeling like you got a good stretch going, but your hands are really big. But there, I could stop at the D note. I could play all the way to the E string, or I could stop at the B. On the B string. Oops. I can stop there, and then the next chord. I'm going to do this one for the next one. It's a little bit. I could do that maybe to. Let's see what. I'll do this one first, and then I'll do this one second. We'll come up with another version, and then D major. I could do like this would be kind of a D major 13. That's a very simple version of it, but it's a beautiful chord. I could also do this, D major 9. Let's see. Let me. We could do that too. That's a cool chord. What that is, okay, check this out. Here's our A7. This is the 5th, and here's another 5th. Remember, we can't lower that 5th. We can't go flat 5 on the E string without tuning the guitar down, which is not going to be practical. So we take this E note down there, but we could also have a sharp 5. Nothing says we can't have 2 altered notes on the same chord. So this would be. It's a great chord. A7 flat 5 sharp 5. Or for Lena, A7 5 sharp 5 flat. No wait, yeah. Yeah. We could go up here. We could even do that and. So let's see. There's so many options. It's fun. That's what's so fun about it. Oops. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay, so those will be 3. And then the D major 7, D major 9 is just open, 2, 2, open. All right, so let me do this. We got E minor 7 flat 5. I'm just riffing here. I'm just trying to come up with interesting voicings that we can use, and I figured, well, why not teach you about the flat 5 sharp 5 thing? And so we did. And the cool thing is, on that A7, we still have the guide tones. We still have the third and the seventh in there, and so like everything we need is there. Okay, and then I'm just changing this one to D major 9. And I'll try to come up with a second one. Let's see if I can come up with another one for y'alls. So I have two options here. Screen grab. All right, this is the 10th example, or 10th diagram. Oh, it did. See, it always throws me when I do. Okay. Okay, you see that? Oops. You go to B minor 7 if you want. Come up with another E minor. I could. That's nice too. Rather than have two Ds, I have two E's. Oh, if I come up with something, no. Do I? You guys get credit? No. Sadly, no. Bruce is trying to get that residual income going. That annuity. Oops, wrong. Let's see, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, royalties, I think, I'd like to think of them as an annuity, but I also know as soon as I stop writing and submitting music, eventually it's a dwindling thing. I know people that retired after playing, in LA orchestras and things like that for TV and film after 30 years because they were making $200,000-$300,000 in secondary market money. But eventually the movies and TV shows that they played on air less and less and make less and less money. So that check's probably going to go down. If you're not adding to it, that check's going to go down before you know it. They're making $300 a year. Okay, so let me see if I can come up with another. I already have an idea for the 5 and the 1 chord, but the 2 chord's a toughie. Well, I think I'll just write out this one where it's also E minor 7 flat 5, but I've got 2 roots in here instead of. Your finger's right there anyway. It's almost easier because it gives you a little bit of stability. Sadly, you just can't do that because that open B string jacks us up. I could do maybe. That's kind of cool. I'm adding a 6th in there. So basically that's even easier. Okay, let's do that. And then I'm going to do this and then this. That would do that. So I'm going to go E minor 6 flat 5 to A7 flat 9. And if you know this shape, that's a diminished chord. E diminished, it's also B flat diminished 7th, it's also C sharp diminished 7th, it's also G diminished 7th. It's all 4 of them. And I'm putting the A in the bass, so now it really sounds more like an A7 with a flat 9. And then D major, kind of the 13. It's very, very minimalistic 13 chord, but there it is. We do have the 3rd and the 7th, and then we have the 6th. So you could call it a major 7 add 6 or something too. It's kind of like that C2 back chord though, because actually this one we just doubled the E, so it's about as minimalistic. Okay, so let me write that one out. But let me show you what I did. Open 1, open, open 2, open. So there's that 6th. It's a half step below the 7th. Our 7th in the E minor chord was the D. So if we go down 1 fret, we get C sharp. So we're still in the key there, but that B flat now is obviously out of the key. It's kind of a haunting chord. you know, it's not pretty, it's haunting. And then the A7 I'm doing is open A, so nothing on the bottom string. Open A, first finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret, second finger on the second fret, pinky on the third fret. And that's a great chord. And the cool thing about this one is we can move it up 3 frets, and that's still A7 flat 9. If we move it up 3 more frets, that's still A7 flat 9. And if we move it 3 frets, that's still A7 flat 9. And if we move it 3 frets, it's all of them. Diminished chords you can move up 3 frets and they repeat themselves. Diminished seventh chords, I should say. All right. Woo! Still waking up. I still have a lot of coffee left. That's my fault. Okay, let's see if I can remember what the heck I just did. What did I say? E minor 6, flat 5. It's kind of an interesting chord. I don't see that one written very often, but we kind of came across it and then backwards analyzed it. All right, and then the other one was A7 flat 9. And that A7 chord, we have a root, a fifth, a flat 9, third, and a seventh. So we have all, that voicing, that A7 flat 9 voicing has all the notes. And so I'm going to go ahead and call this just a D13, D major 13. Oops, I want this to be a 2. All right. And again with a screen grab. Oh, we've already been on for an hour. All right. So we've added 2 new keys. We're going to ultimately do 5. We'll do the caged 5. So we've done C, G, and D. So all we have left is A and E. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's see. Again, we're going to have C sharp minor 7. Oh, C sharp minor 7. Oh, C. Yeah, that's easy. Wait. Oh, but that's a 2 of. That would be B. I'll figure it out in a second. All right. So okay, again, E minor 7 flat 5. E minor 6. Sorry. This A7 flat 9 tells me that you're not going to have a problem with it. It's a fairly easy chord. Yeah, you can. The dominant 7th, it's less of an issue to have the 7th and the root adjacent, but a major 7th can kind of rub. Although I like the sound of it. I love playing like for G majors, especially if you're arpeggiating. So let's see. Yeah, it depends on which 7th chord you're talking about. If you're talking about a dominant 7th or a major 7th. Dominant 7ths are designed not to sound good, okay? Because dominant 7th chords technically are designed to lead you to the root. They're designed to create tension. In fact, for a long time, like in a C7 chord, that E to B flat, that tritone was called the devil's tone, and you were supposed to avoid it in music, which is almost impossible to do. We're talking going back 600-700 years. And it might not have been called the devil's tone because they thought the devil possessed it or anything like that. It may have just been a term for like, well, how do you resolve this? Or how do you resolve it without sounding dorky or trite? It may be something like that. I'm not sure the origin of the term devil's tone. But I remember learning that in music theory class many, many moons ago. But yeah, so seventh chords are kind of designed to sound weird. Even in blues, where you just use nothing but seventh chords, there's that perpetual kind of tension that plays into the notion of the blues, right? Kind of this dissonance. The blues should be lyrically, you're not going to sing, you're not going to sing about like, oh, I just had the best day of my life. That's not a blues song. So if, you're going to sing about something, my baby done left me kind of thing. So, hey, Sadie, what's going on? Oh, nice. I Walk the Line's a great song. Great groove on that, too. Yeah, a dominant seventh needs to be resolved. I mean, like I said, in blues, it never does. You never go, if you're playing blues in E, you never resolve that E to the tonic chord that it belongs to. Yeah, it would be the silliest. I think you should end every blues with the tonic chord related to the 5 of the first chord of the song. That would be hilarious. That would be the new blues meme. But yeah, so but anyway, this diminished thing is, I love this shape. And so what's happening again? You could also see A7 like this. All right. So I have the A right there. And so the flat 9 is going to be literally 1 fret up from the root. The 9 would be here. So if I want to play A9, that's kind of a nice voicing there, this one. But we want to flat the 9. That one's a little hard, and it doesn't create much tension as opposed to the flat 9. We can do a flat 9, flat 5. Isn't that great? See, there's the 5 right there. So you can really see how easy it is to alter a 5 if you've got it handy like that. I could sharp the 5. Here's a A7 sharp 5 flat 9. Isn't that great? Listen to that. That F natural in the sharp 5 wants to go up to the F sharp of the D chord. That's the beauty of all these altered tones. And again, you can go crazy over the 7th chord, the 5 chord. All right, you can, like I said, in that one. What didn't we do a flat 5 and a sharp 5? Right? I could have added a flat 9 in there too. I could have added a sharp 9 in there, but we wouldn't add a third to rub against. So that would be, I don't know that I would call that an A7 flat 5 sharp 5 flat 9 sharp 9 because there's no third in there. So it would be more like an A7 or F7 sus over A, which is a weird chord. But anyway, oh, bye, Catherine. Too late. She's gone. I missed her. Dang it. Okay, so yeah, I think when people say goodbye, they leave and they don't stick around for the 30 seconds it takes for everybody to say goodbye to them, right? Am I right? All right, so let's go to the next key. The next key, if we count up 5 in the key of D, we get the key of A. And this series, it may just end up being 2 videos. This series is a reply to a request. I also got, Bruce pointed out that somebody asked, and it was on, I think it was on the Discord. I think he's also asked on Lloyd, Jack Lloyd, I think is his name, on my Facebook page too, to talk about worship guitar. And my, okay, so wait a minute. Let me get rid of these real quick. Oops. Let me delete these, remove. All right, and then I'll move these over. I will drag all these into Discord here in a minute. I could do it. I could do it now. I just have to open Discord. All right. Oh, okay, good. That's good to know, Sam. Sometimes they say goodbye in advance and what. I certainly do that. Right? It takes me forever to say goodbye. All right. So we're going to change this D major to the next key, which is A major. I'm probably going to have to make it smaller again. We'll see if I can fit it all. But it's going to be A, because we're going to have 3 sharps per octave now. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Oh, that sounds like a song. Probably is. All right. Make it a little smaller. All right. So you can see we have 2 octave C, A major scale. The 1 chord is built. We can build it, the 1 major 7 chord. A, C sharp, E, G sharp. You should be starting to see that almost automatically now. And again, I totally recommend you writing it down on a piece of paper. It's a good exercise. Write down the A major scale on a piece of paper, 2 octaves of it. And then you can even do little like humps to connect the letters, you know, skipping, hopping across the scale like that. So A, C sharp, E, G sharp would be the 1, 3, 5, 7 of the 1 chord. If we go up 1 scale tone, we get to the B note. And if we go from there, B, skip a letter, we get D, skip a letter, we get F sharp, skip a letter, we get A. And that's our 2 chord, a B minor 7 chord. So we're going to have to find a non-bar chord B minor 7 chord that we can do. I've got one for you. So we need A major 7, B7, and then the E7, and that's easy. So if you count up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the A scale, we go A, B, C sharp, D, E, which is the 5, and you go every other letter from there: E, G sharp, B, and then D natural, right there, D, and that's our E7 chord. 1, 3, 5, 7 starting on the E note. All right. So right off the bat, I mean D minor 7. Oops. That's, you know, B minor 7. That's pretty much how I would play it if I had to. If it said on a chart, this version isn't bad. I like this. So it's nothing on the bottom string. 2, 0, 2, 0, 2. We do have a 5th there, so we can do a flat 5. So that's probably what we'll use. And you could use, if you want to just take an A, however you play A chord, and then keep the 3rd finger or the middle finger where it is, and then spread the other 2 fingers apart, you'll end up with a B minor 7 chord. Okay, that's an open string B minor 7 chord. It's not bad. You can see I'm muting the bottom string with my thumb, but you don't have to do that. Okay. Then the next chord would be E7. So if you play E major, 0, 2, 0, 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0, take off the 3rd finger, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 0. We end up with an E7 chord. E7. And then the A major 7, we take an A chord, and we have 2 A's here. We have the bottom note, which we can't really, we don't want to change that one. But the 2nd A note right here, we can take that down a fret and get our G sharp. A beautiful chord right there. So start on the 5th string, 0, 2, 1, 2, 0. All right, so we have, that would be your most vanilla 2-5-1 progression in the key of E. Oh, why did I go to, yeah, in the key of A. Yeah, sorry. Brain shut off. Okay. All right, let me do this. Let's see. So we have B minor 7, X2, 0, 2, 0, 2, E7, which is the 5 chord, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 0. And last but not least, we have the A major 7 chord, which is nothing, and then 2, 1, 2. All right, and let me do a screen grab. Oh. I'll tell you what, I'll drag them all to Discord when I'm done. All right? We got a bunch of new ones. All right, here we go. So here's our vanilla 251 in the key of A. An open position. All open strings, all open chords. I mean, a lot of open strings, open chords. Hey, Joseph, missed you. You've been gone for a while. So, let's see. So again, we play this. I'm playing with these three fingers, my second, third, and fourth finger, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, and then I'm just going like that. So you can even see this A note resolve down to the G sharp, and then that G sharp stays on G sharp for the A major 7, but it wants to kind of go up. You know, that tritone that's inside the A7 chord. You know, inside the E7 chord. Wants to do this. Yes. Yeah, the intervals between all the scale tones, if you skip in a letter, it's either a major third or a minor third. So if you want to analyze, A to C sharp is a major third, B to D is a minor third, C sharp to E is a minor. And basically, a major third is 2 whole steps, or 4 frets, and a minor third is a half step and a whole step, or a whole step and a half step. Doesn't matter what order they come in, or 3 frets on the guitar. I don't want to bog you down in the minutia of intervallic playing, but when I'm playing a minor 7 arpeggios, and I'm doing that, or like for example, if I play B minor 7, and then E7, and then all those arpeggios, I would be playing thirds, different types of thirds, major or minor thirds. Yeah, so you are correct, Sam, as always. All right, so let's make this a little bit more interesting. We already said we could take that B, that F sharp up there, and make it F natural, which creates a B minor 7 flat 5. Okay, that's cool. All right, E7, what am I going to do with E7? The E7 is a kind of... It's a thorny one because we have 2 B's again. So it's like, that's just not a fun chord to play. I'm not going to make you do it. I would do this. Not the easiest chord to play, but super strong resolution to the A major 7 chord. Of course, if I do A major 7, then we've already done that chord. I do that. So we have B minor 7 flat 5 to E7 sharp flat 9 to, what would I do? No. Again with the A major, again with the major 13 chord. Very pretty chord. Do that. But we're getting into like harder bar chords. This one's not easy either. But remember the A7 flat 9? It's the same voicing. The only thing is we have an open E string on it. It's basically the same voicing, but it's slightly different fingering. All right. So I mean, I wish I could keep altered chords easy to play. Sometimes they are. No. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to write those 3 chords out for our more difficult or more complex jazzy versions. Everybody understand this typewriter tab kind of thing I'm doing? Hopefully. All right, that changes. All right, E7 flat 9. All right, and then I'm going to go with the 13 here. Ooh, I'm slouching too much. Ugh. never broken anything. Because, well, for one thing, I've never skied. Fortunately, I don't think I've broken, I've never broken anything. But I'm not very adventuresome. I've broken strings. I've broken a lot of strings. All right. So here's this B minor 7 flat 5. Okay, I'm putting my second finger on the second fret of the 5th string, open D string, third finger on the second fret of the 3rd string, open B string, and then first finger on the 1st fret of the 1st string, playing that F natural. And that's our flat 5. B minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5. Okay. There you go, Devil Step. Yep, thanks, Wendy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, coffee causes kidney stones, right? Just air and water. Yeah, you got to pass that stone. Oh. I hope I never get a kidney stone. I hear it's brutal. Okay. And then E minor or E7 flat 9. So we have open, second finger on the 2nd fret, third finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, first finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and an open E. And then the values of these notes is, there's the root, here's the 5th, flat 9. See, if I were to play, I could play E7 like this, right? And there's the root, go up 1 fret and you get a flat 9, which generally only works on a dominant 7th chord. Like you wouldn't add a flat 9 to a minor 7th chord or a major 7th chord. It just wouldn't happen. Like, you know, it's just not something you would normally do. Okay, but there's that flat 9. Here's the 3rd, the G sharp is the 3rd. Here's a D, which is the 7th, and an E. Now keep in mind the 5th is down here, so we could raise that up and we could have a sharp 5 flat 9. Kind of interesting. Or if I wanted to, I could try to get that down. That's not easy for me, so but that would be a flattened 5 there. But anyway, just stick with this one if you can do it. It's a handful, but at least it's a tight handful. It's not like I'm making you do something like this. You're literally, you know, it's not like that. It's all kind of compact, much like the A minor 7 flat 5. I mean the A7 flat 5. Sorry, the A7 flat 9. So this is E7 flat 9, and then the A major 7 or A major 13. If you play the A major 7 like this, and then just add your pinky. I'm just trying to give you an option. You could also play. I would call this E over A, but you could call it A major 7, which is just these. So I'm playing A major 7, but I'm taking off the 2nd string note. Yeah, they say once you get into your 60s, you wake up every morning asking yourself, did I play football yesterday? I want to start playing tennis again with Alex. My tennis elbow seems to be fine. I probably will play one match and then my tennis elbow will be keeping me from... Oh, dang, you can't strum up, just downstrokes? Oh. All right, but you're here for the fellowship. You're here for the fellowship, Joseph. Okay. Let's see. Do I go and do the last one? Let me see. Let me think. Let's see. We have, so E would be the next one. So that would be F sharp on B7. to E major 7. Yeah, I mean, we can totally do it, whether I want to do it today or next week. Maybe I'll wait till next week, and then I'll finish up and maybe do a review, or I'll finish up and come up with some more jazz chords in open position that are just kind of random chords, not necessarily part of a progression. That might not be a bad thing to do too. So we can talk about that. That way we can just I can just, if you got questions, this will be the time to ask questions. And this rubber band is worthless. I could tell as soon as I picked it up, it was all dried out or something. That's weird. They don't make rubber bands like they used to. All right, oud pick. I don't really use it. I need to practice with it. You kind of hold it like a pencil. But yeah, I'm just not very adept at it. Plus, they don't make a thick enough one. I like a thick pick, and so that's just not very thick. I have this thing. You guys seen this? Although it doesn't work on elixir strings, so if they're wound, it doesn't work. Thank you, Lena. Do you have a question? Kind of fun. It doesn't have any rosin on it right now, which is actually a good thing because rosin just destroys strings. It not destroys them, but just makes them sticky and kind of it stays on the string and kind of robs it of its ability to ring. See, that's string players are bowing, so that's why their strings ring, because they're bowing them. Guitars hit a chord and they expect the strings to ring out, but when it's double harmonic major scale. Double harmonic major scale. Googling now. Oh, is that what I was playing? Oh, yeah. So, yeah. That's kind of the, is that the Miserlou scale? Right? So, yeah, so basically it's a C major scale, or C triad over a D flat triad, right? That's why it's called double major. Yeah, double harmonic too. So what Sam is referring to, so it's a scale that's created by superimposing two major triads on top of each other or next to each other that are a half step apart. So C major, for example, and then C sharp major or D flat major. So if you just add those up, you get that double harmonic major scale. Now, I actually did it without even realizing it. I was like playing an A chord and just playing the notes on a B chord right in front of it. And I did the same thing with the C. What I'm doing is I'm playing an A triad, a B flat triad, and a C triad, and turning them all into a scale. Very symmetrical scales, like 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And it gives you a very kind of Spanish sound. You do the same thing in E. Um, okay, Baraba, let's see. This is probably obvious. I'm a bit of a div, but sus4 and 11 chords. Okay, so a sus4 chord is generally a triad where you take the third up a half step. All right. So a sus4 chord would not have a third in it. It would just be a root, a 4, and a 5. So for example, D to D, there's D sus. There's no third there. If I were to have the third in there and have a G in there, it might be something like this or like that. I would call that a D4 chord. I call it a D4 chord. Some people back in the day would call it D add 4. I shortened that, got rid of the add, it's unnecessary, just D4. Because a D6 would be a D triad with a 6 added. Why wouldn't a D4 chord be a D triad with a 4 added? And a D2 chord would be a D triad with a 2 added. That's my thinking. You don't need the word add. Okay. Now, that said, an 11th chord, which is the same as the 4th, same note. So a D, if you count up D scale, and we're going to count up a D Mixolydian scale. So we're technically in the key of G major, and we're going to start on, don't worry, but I'm going to go up. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We still end up with that G. It's the same thing. Is that a D11 chord? No, because remember what I was saying a little while ago is a 7th chord is a 4-note chord. It's everything. So if I say D7, it's the dominant scale, the Mixolydian scale, from D to the 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. It would be D, skip a letter, you get F sharp, skip a letter, you get A, skip a letter, you get C. Okay? So that's, again, a 7th chord is 4 notes. If we go to the next one, that's a 9th chord, that's 5 notes. If we go to the next one, that's an 11th chord. We have technically 6 notes. Essentially a D, what I usually play if someone's asking for an 11 chord, and let's say D11 in this case, I play a C triad with a D in the bass. That's generally what people are expecting when they say 11th chords. They're expecting kind of what you might call a 5th inversion chord, and I don't want to get into the minutiae of inversions and everything now. But yeah, that's basically kind of the explanation. So a D11 chord would be technically should have a D, an F sharp, an A, a C, an E, and a G. But you start eliminating things, and so the 7th is necessary. The 9th is, and the 11th obviously is necessary. So when you start eliminating things, you realize, oh shoot, I've just got that's basically a C major triad. And you could add the D, the F sharp in there to make it, like there would be an A11 chord with it has a 3rd in it. Usually, again, like I said, I play an 11 chord just like a G triad with an A in the bass. You can play it like that could be A11 right there, or just the middle 4 strings open. It's technically an A11 chord. And again, there's missing notes, but that's okay. Hey, Aslan, what's going on? All right. Your clock reads. I just look at my phone. It corrects itself. I don't have to think about it. All right. My guitar tech just called. All right. So any other questions? I'm happy to take some. Suspended. Oh, the original Misery Lou was a cover. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so interesting. It's got a lot of different names. It's got scaled name in Arab, Indian, Byzantine scale, Arabic scale, the Gypsy major. It's a pretty common scale. Yeah, they have quarter tones in. Interesting. Oh, yeah, we could do the triadic. Yeah, what would it be? It would be, yeah, it would be C major. And then, yeah, it's interesting the shapes that occur. Naturally, C major 7, D flat major 7, E minor 6, F minor with a major 7, G7 flat 5. It's funny because Wikipedia is doing the 5 minus and the 5 plus, doing that thing we're talking about, the minus flat instead of doing the flat 5. Okay, and the seventh chord is a B sus2 add 13 flat 5. Hilarious. I guess that's what you could call it. B, yeah, because you're going to have a, yeah, that's right, because you've got 3 half steps in there, like 3 adjacent half steps. Oh, I saw that video. Yeah, was it Adam's video? Just turning on my heater. It's a little cold in here. Yeah, Adam's video was the all by myself. Yeah, Adam Neely. Yeah. That was a great video. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because oftentimes when you do that kind of stuff, you're not thinking about it. You're just like, how do I want to, I don't know that Eric Carmen was thinking all of that, any of that, when he wrote that song. He just did it. When you're writing melodies, you're always looking for common tones between chords to make chord changes less harsh. John Lennon did it all the time. I just never needed anybody's help in any way. He kept melody very, very simple. Rick Beato did that. Just did the Killers song, Mr. Brightside, and the melody is really a one-note melody through the verses, and but the harmony changes interestingly, and the value of that. The value of the melody changes as the chords change. And we've talked about this before, like if you do some kind of a jazz dissension thing, like that, I'm playing a G on top of every one of those chords, but that value of that G note has a different value over each chord. And this chord is the flat 5, and this chord is a 5, and this chord is the sharp 5, and this chord is a 6, and this chord is a dominant 7th, and this chord is the major 7th, and this chord, it's the root. But it's kind of the sonic glue that holds it all together. Normally those chords wouldn't make much sense. But when you have something that harmonically is keeping them. But and you could go back and analyze that and go, well, he's doing the 5 of the 5 of the 5 of the 5, and then blah, 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 blah. And you can analyze it all. The person that did it in the first place never thought of any of that. They just did whatever sounded good to them. They weren't even consciously trying to break any rules. I don't think the Beatles were ever trying to break rules. They were just going, oh, this chord sounds cool. Let's write to that chord. And, it's the minor 4 thing, Technically, the minor 4 is not in the key, but it creates a tension. But the first time they did it, they weren't thinking, well, I want to go to the alternative minor 4th of the 7th chord with no, they're never thinking that. That may be the math behind it and the justification behind it and why it works, but that's not how anyone who ever used it in the first place thought. So I value the analysis of things. I like it because it's nerdy, but it's never been particularly helpful because I'm probably not going to use the key change from Eric Carmen's All by Myself. Um, and I think it may be a different key change that Celine Dion did. So they obviously whoever was arranging that song or arranging it for her and doing the key change, um, customized it and did a great job of doing that. I don't know if that was exactly what Eric Carmen did, but I know it's a freaking brilliant chord progression. I'm trying to remember. Oops. Yeah. Um, Maybe I'll start here and see. Yeah, that's going to be right. Let me just see if I can find a. Oh wow, that's really small. Maybe it's not. I mean, this is probably a more simplified version, but. Yeah, it's just a brilliant. It's really not in A. I mean, you could say it's in the key of A, but an E minor is not in the key of A, and an F sharp's not in the key of A. B minor is. It's kind of got a haunting, almost has that double major kind of thing happening there. There's all sorts of movement in the chords too. It's not just simple. It's not simple triads really. This is a great chord. I think is that one right there, because you could think of it. A lot of times you play in the key of A. You go to the G chord to create this kind of, G, D, C thing that's kind of fun and rock and roll sounding. But he, instead of going to G, he went to E minor, which, wow, that to me. Going on, I can't remember what it is harmonically over that E chord, but yeah, that's a great song, written in the 70s, I believe. Eric Carmen, it's by far his most well-known song, but that thing was a huge hit in the 70s. Oh, that's right, it's based on Rachmaninoff. Duh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Sam. In fact, the estate sued, or he sued, because it was written while he was still alive. Yeah, you're right. Well, he did that's right. The intro is that. I'll have to listen to it again and see if it actually is the verses and the choruses are Rachmaninoff. Is that what they're saying? I know he plays it in the middle or at the end or something because he's a classically trained pianist. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it even says Rachmaninoff here. All by self. According to Carmen, he first wrote the solo part of the song, writing 4 bars at a time. Eventually completed the interlude after 2 months. He needed to put the song, but listen to Rachmaninoff's. He adapted the melody of its second movement to write the verse. Okay, so he did use it in the verse. Rachmaninoff's music was in the public domain in the United States at the time, so Carmen thought no copyright existed on it. But it was still protected outside the U.S. subsequent to its release to the album because the Rachmaninoff is a 75-year. I mean, the European was 75 years, and he died in 43. Even then, it would. I can't believe it was public domain if he died in 1943. because this song was released in 1975. That would have been 32 years, but maybe I'm not sure what the. I know I've said this many times that the copyright thing went from 50 to 70 years in the U.S. because of a mouse. And I know my kids and my grandkids will be making money off of my music for 70 years after I'm gone. I told you about my friend whose dad wrote a lot, or grandfather wrote a lot of Gilligan's Island episodes and Dobie Gillis and all sorts of TV shows, and they still get money every, I don't know how often, every quarter, every year, or something like that. But it's a few dollars at this point. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, YouTube, my YouTube videos will stay up. I mean, YouTube, maybe they'll eventually take them down if my account is inactive. I'm not sure what kind of rules they have there. I certainly will happily give my account information to Alex, and he can keep it going if he wants. Oh, right. Yeah, and I knew that because Adam Neely talked about it. Yeah. So, oh, funny, Never Gonna Fall in Love Again, which was also based on Rachmaninoff. Yeah. I'm assuming he was classically trained, or else he wouldn't have. Oh, he was the lead vocalist of the Raspberries. That's right. Family Russian Jewish immigrants. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Lyndhurst. Playing piano, writing his own songs, Beatles, all that. Okay. Yeah, so he was classically trained. He became self-taught guitarist. At 15, he started guitar lessons. Yeah, it's a great song, and I mean, I know that Radiohead. I think the Beatles have interesting, got some harmonies and ideas from classical pieces. I mean, Muse totally has. Queen totally did. I don't know that anybody else has ever had to share writer's credit with a composer, a classical composer before, but it probably has happened. If anybody knows, they can chime in here. Yeah, you can check out that Adam Neely that Sam's is talking about. I mean, it's particularly powerful. Adam's mom is a singer, and Celine Dion will hit her chest when she's about to hit a high note, because she says that it creates this kind of I forget what she said. It's something about a panic response. Your body creates a panic response, which makes it easier to hit the high notes. So. Okay, so all these are going to disappear as soon as no, they're not going to disappear. As soon as I drag them off my desktop. I'm going to go to Discord right now, guys, and I'm going to drag all of these examples I did into Discord. You can go there and you can download them for free, and let's see, Tom Less PDFs. Okay, here you go, and you can take all of those. Oh, look, and Holly did it already. Thank you, Holly. And she may very well do this again. I'm not going to expect her to. It's above and beyond the Call of Duty. But here are a bunch of. Okay, I'm just going to hit return, and it should upload them all. So the boom, 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 boom. How many? 8 diagrams I did today in open position. And if you want to know what key the 2-5-1 progression is in, it's whatever the last chord is. So if E minor 7, A7, D, and D, so D is the key. All right, there we go. But like I said, as soon as I move those into a folder, yeah, I love Dave Edmunds. I've always liked Dave Edmunds. He's good artist. That genre, the songwriter, the 80s singer-songwriter Dave Edmunds was one of those guys. I had a friend that looked just like him too back then. And his name was Dave too, so he was always saying, "Are you Dave Edmonds?" No. um, let's see. Um, yeah, no, and it's totally fine. I mean, inspiration is inspiration. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, almost all pop right now is the same. For a while now, it's been the same four chords. It's when I try to stay away from the same four chords. Not only the same four chords, the same four chords in the same order. Like a 6-4-1-5. So I tend to try to do things that are a little, even just new, subtly different for the pop kids I write for. I haven't done anything like that in a minute, but sometimes I'm inspired, sometimes I'm not. I've been listening to a lot of classical music lately. I mean, at least in the car. I've been listening to KUSC in the car, and so I haven't been listening to the pop radio, Kiss FM lately. Just I don't know. It's just well, I mean, obviously as a 61-year-old man, pop music isn't designed for my ears, or it's designed. I always say it's to get the 13-year-old girls to call the radio station and say, play that Ella 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 song, and I still like pop music. I feel like pop music is the art form is the production, the producers are the artists, and they're recognized as such. But to me, that's what makes pop songs interesting, is the fact that, wow, where did they come up with that sound? Or, wow, that was a cool way to do this. Or, wow, that's an interesting melody. Because melodies tend to change every decade. And there's definitely, you could play a melody and I could play you a melody and you could probably go, oh, that's from the 70s. Or, oh, that's a 90s melody. Or that's an 80s melody or a 60s melody. You could peg it, that's a 2000s melody or a 2010 melody, or you might not be able to do later melodies, but you might be able to go, oh, well, that sounds definitely like a very 60s type melody, and without actually hearing the song or anything. So I do feel like there's kind of that kind of parasitical kind of writing that happens in every decade, and it usually is a carryover thing. So when you say the 60s, you don't mean 1960 to 1969. When you say 60s music, you're almost saying something like 1962 to 1971. You say 70s music, and it's like music from 72 until like 81 maybe would be like you'd think of as 70s music. And then 80s music started, the second British invasion, started happening in 82, 81, 82, 83, started getting bigger and bigger. So there's kind of a hangover. It takes a minute for the decade to end musically and artistically speaking. So. Eric Carmen's still alive. Probably still touring. Does he have? Oh, he has a website. Let's see. Funny, he's got ads on his website for tombstones. Well, maybe it's just reading my. It doesn't have any tour dates. Oh wait. No, news. The most recent news on his website was 2017. So, yeah. Raspberries featured in HBO's Vinyl. That was 2016. Yeah, HBO. We have HBO. I should have watched that now. Actually, I forgot about that show. I watched the first episode because it was free to watch, and it was okay. I actually had a show that I created that was very similar to that. Okay, so now that I dragged those there, they're all going to disappear from my OBS thing here when I drag these here to there. Boop. Oh, well, not these. They didn't disappear. Okay. I can leave those up there, but I can bring them back. They're in a folder. I can make those disappear too if I put a new folder, create a new folder. But all right. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because you want something, find something obscure and steal it. Yeah, that happens all the time. People steal not obscure things like Lana Del Rey stealing Creep. Of course, Creep was stolen from the Hollies, Radiohead. So, oh, oh, cool. I'm at 116,000. There you go. Well, so I hit 100,000 in, was it last January? Yeah, it happened like last January, right? Isn't that right? Something like that. I have to look now. I think because I did a YouTube video on it. If I go to my let's see, go to content. Yeah, Silver Award. I got it in January of last year. So yeah, I mean, I'm not hitting a million. It's not going to happen. Maybe after I'm gone, or if I had another video that went viral. I don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to get the first one to go viral. That was not intentional. The sun's coming out. That's why I'm getting all bleached out. Sorry about that. So yeah, Bruce, I wish I could. I've tried to create another viral video. I did the follow up to this one, which isn't bad. Let's see, where's that? I tried to get people to show up for that Joe DeBlasi thing, talking about Pink Floyd, because there's so many Pink Floyd people out there. Nobody's really watched that. My best video of last year, was 7 more tips because I got 60,000 views on that one, so that's not bad. And then my favorite Beatles song. My thing I did on the Beatles Get Back, my thoughts and review. That got 4,500. I thought about doing more reviews. I might do that. That might not be a bad thing. Have to be something current. So let's see. So I did the attack pick thing. That was 2,400 views. Let's see. 10 finger picking tips for beginners. For the beginner. That got 4,500 views. But yeah, I mean, if I were to look at the analytics, the revenue. So the total revenue from that, for all the work I do, $25 so far. Yeah. So I'm not. I do think I do have the people can give me money now, which is a new thing. Let me see. Yeah, and it made its money right off the bat, like $18, $19 the first week, and then been just pennies after that. But again, I call it an annuity. As if I had 1,000 videos making me $25 a year, that wouldn't be bad, right? If they each made me $25, that'd be 25 grand a year. That wouldn't be bad. We've updated inappropriate language guidelines. Okay. Learn more. What are the what's considered inappropriate? I'm curious. What am I going to say that? They're not treating the H word or the D word as profanity anymore. Okay, well that's good. I usually say dang it anyway, or heck. Yeah, I don't use drugs. I'm not using it. Well, I mean, I don't know. This is technically a caffeine delivery system. I think it was Chris Rock that had the routine about someday caffeine is going to be illegal. And you're going to talk about with your grandkids like, oh yeah, no, we all used to drink coffee. You drank coffee? Yeah. Wow. What was that like? You got away with that? Oh, it was legal. It was legal to drink coffee? Yeah, the cops drank it. The cops drank coffee? It's like, yeah, because so many drugs were, illegal. I mean, legal back in the day that are illegal today, that people were like, wait, cocaine was legal? Yeah, cocaine was totally legal. Not when I was a kid. Um, okay, that's not what I wanted. What was I looking for? Um, oh, I wanted to look at the, okay, details. Yeah, I think if I click on this, there's a button here. Yeah, thanks. You can show thanks. So yeah, you can, anybody can do that on any video. I don't think I've ever gotten any thanks money ever. So um, you would think on that 7 tips for older beginners, people will go, hey, and I don't teach guitar lessons anymore. And I know people get mad when I say that if I do teach guitar lessons, it's usually coaching for actors or pop artists, and I charge 150 an hour. So if I do, 4 hours, they're paying me $600 for my time. I did a day on set with a Disney kid. It sounds like a lot of money, but the money that they're paying, it's like it's the money that I'm saving them essentially, is a lot more. But I think I did an 8-hour day on a Disney set one time, so I got like $1,200. And actually, I would prefer to charge less and get on the union contract, but not every contractor will let me do that. Because if I get on the union contract, then I can make money on the back end. And I think what I've done in the past is, instead of teaching hourly lessons, I do what's called rehearsal rate. And so it's like 85 an hour or something like that if you're rehearsing a union rehearsal. It's like $85 an hour, um, uh, and then from there, that puts me on the contract. So then I get a small percentage of any of the gross that it makes. So um, oh, funny, you get $20 per year. Because yeah, actually, I know people that get money. Well, if you live in Alaska, you get money every year because of the oil. I think it's like 3,500 per person in the family or something like that. It could be changed and everything. Um, yeah, it used to be in Coca-Cola. Yep, you could get, yeah, that's right, coca leaves. Yep, yep. I knew what you meant. Best to just avoid drug tests. Yeah, when you're self-employed, you don't get asked that. I got asked to do a sideline today, but I got stuff going on, or no, tomorrow, but I got stuff going on, and then they had all sorts of restrictions, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. Yeah, it doesn't pay enough money for me to do everything, all the things they wanted me to, all the hoops they wanted me to jump through. So yeah, well, the bummer about prohibition was that a lot of people in America, it was a very, very popular thing. They were, because probably because alcohol was, um, I mean, alcoholism was very common, or was, everybody knew an alcoholic, and also because it was probably a more, I don't want to say religious nation, but I definitely would say a much higher majority of Americans were church going, and maybe from the pulpit they were hearing that alcohol was evil and all that stuff. So it was kind of, it was kind of a natural thing to happen. The problem was that the government got so much revenue from alcohol that when we got rid of alcohol, they had to bring in the income tax, I believe. So it's like we can thank prohibition for the income tax, and then when they got rid of prohibition, they didn't get rid of income tax. So it's like, I think also that had something to do with World War One. I think they started World War One. They brought in the income tax or something like that. I can't remember how bad, but they had to increase it, and they had to do other things. And I mean, I'm doing taxes right now, and it's depressing how much. I mean, I'm glad I'm making money. So don't get me wrong. My goal is to pay $1 million in taxes, but that. Oh shoot, I got to keep an eye on my mail because I'm expecting a package today. I won an instrument on an auction, and codeine. Oh yeah, codeine. Yeah, it's legal, but you right? Codeine's in cough medicine or something like that. But now you have to like have them get the key to get you to get cough medicine or something like that. Yes. Oh, crime rate went way up. Yeah, because you just created a whole series of new laws, and then they had people battling the cops to make a lot of money in illegal alcohol. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. In fact, it probably had a big hand in creating the mafia. Although the mafia probably would have existed regardless. And I know that Joe Kennedy wasn't he originally like one of his main sources of wealth was um, running alcohol was a what's that called? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. Legalize it. Like, there's a libertarian part of me that is like, yeah, just legalize it. All drugs. The the problem with that is that okay, if it's going to be legal for you to do any drug, I don't want to have to pay for your hospital bills. If you're stupid enough to do crazy drugs like meth, why should I have to pay your hospital bills for because you did meth? So I don't know. It's Yeah, willpower is definitely. I'll tell you one thing that's helped my willpower is cold plunging. Holy cow. That takes a lot of willpower to get in that not ice cold, but cold water. Although the days are getting longer, so it's going to start warming up. It's going to be less effective. It's still, even at 55 degrees, it's still like, whoa, when you first get in it. It takes willpower to get into it. It's a psychological game. And that's one of the benefits to do cold plunging, which was stated when we started doing it. When we did some research on it, it was like, oh, that's one of the benefits. It kind of makes sense. A lot of the other benefits are ones you don't really notice, like increased white blood cell count. Less inflammation. Now I'm sensitive to inflammation because of my hands. Where I got joints, many joints in my hands, and I'm using my hands every day. So I'm very sensitive to that. I've been very fortunate to not really have any arthritic issues. Um, I do have tightness, but generally I keep my hands limber by playing and by just doing little exercises like this. I thought about doing a video. I should probably sit down and do a video how I keep my hands limber, but I also don't want anybody to hurt their hands and then blame me for it. But I don't ever push anything too hard. Bootlegging. Thank you, Sam. Couldn't think of the word. Or running. Yeah, running. Something running. Yeah, I knew that was a thing. And from Canada, because booze was legal in Canada, so they were running it from Canada. Charlie B slept in. Oh, that's all good, Charlie. Yeah, there's a couple laws that took effect in California in January 1st. One was they got rid of so cities. A lot of cities have jaywalking laws, and so basically the state made that illegal. I don't know if that'll hold up. I don't know if anyone's even challenging it. I know that Burbank, the city of Burbank, I swear half of their revenue came from jaywalking. I've heard from so many people that they got jaywalking tickets in Burbank. And I'm assuming it was probably the same place, right across from Disney or something like that. Um, I I've never really jaywalked. Heck, yeah, I really I just like, oh, I'll just walk up to the light, unless it's like a country road. That's technically not jaywalking. We're talking cities. Um, so uh, the Exactly, Sam. Um, the other law they banned laws in California against so jaywalking no longer illegal in California, and loitering, which is what streetwalkers do. So they can't arrest streetwalkers for loitering anymore. Sorry, I can't say the word. And they did it in the guise of racial justice, and that they said it was unfairly applied to people of color, particularly black people. And I'm kind of like, all right, is that what you're thinking? Do you think all black people are jaywalkers and prostitutes? To me, that's what the California government is saying. It's like, that's why do you think that? It's like, I don't think that. Most black people I know are multi millionaires. So, and it's not from jaywalking or the other thing. So I don't know. It's just but anytime there can be less laws, I think you don't want to live in the wild, wild west, but definitely stupid laws. And I know people that got a ticket for jaywalking. They were like, it was there was no traffic, there was no car. It was like I didn't make anyone stop. We've all seen those jaywalkers where we had to literally stop and wait for them to cross the street. It's like, really? There's literally a crosswalk 20 yards down the road. But yeah, government overreach. It's just natural. It's what they do. It's just that's what they do. That's and so it's hard to unring a bell when it comes to legislation and things like that. So what invariably happens is that you have to figure out new ways to do what you're doing. Now I'm not talking about illegal stuff, but just I think the tax code is a classic example of that, where they keep changing the tax code to try to close loopholes, and then lo and behold, the same people that you thought you were closing loopholes on found a whole other set of loopholes. So yeah, so I don't know. It's like they try to basically outlaw, and they're trying to do it federally too, gig work, which is 100% of my work. So they were trying to outlaw my job and say I had to be hired and I had to be hired W-2, and they had to pay workers' comp and disability and unemployment insurance and all these other bills. And it would be, for every dollar they pay me, it would be another dollar in charge. It's like, well, I'm not their employee. I don't need workers' comp. I don't need health insurance. I don't need, I have everything. I don't need disability. Tax whack-a-mole, exactly. Holly, you know what I'm talking about. And Holly probably has weird taxes too, because she lives out in the freaking mountains in the middle of nowhere, and they probably tax all sorts of weird stuff. What's interesting, Holly, you probably know this though. If your house is like a heritage house, like if it's protected in some way, you pay 1/4 property tax. So if your normal property tax is $10,000 a year, it would only be $2,500. Downside is you can't knock down walls, you can't put windows in where they aren't already. You can't replace windows with modern windows. You can't do any kind of modernization. I think you can do duct work and air conditioning and heating and all that. But if it's a protected house, and it's a heritage house, there's a lot of limits to what you can and can't do. We have friends that have a condo in a heritage building, and their property tax is practically nothing, which is pretty amazing. So, because that's one of the things where you technically, even if I paid cash for my house, I'd still be paying a big check every twice a year to the state. So I'm never technically ever owned my house. And that's true in every state. I don't think there are any, let me look it up, any states that have no property tax. Property tax rates by state. Louisiana is the lowest, but all 51, including District of Columbia, Louisiana is 0.18%. That's pretty stinking low. Hawaii is only 0.26%. That's pretty low. California is 1.27. What are we at? I don't see California on here. Where is it? California says 0.74%. I'm not sure what that means. That doesn't seem right because, oh, average. Oh, based on home value. I see. Okay. Well, yeah, because home values go up in California. I pay 1.27%, but it sits on the home value. They don't get to reappraise. That's the beauty. Yeah, I know. Right, Peter? And toilet visits. Some of us, I'm just wearing Depends. It's really easy. Like I've gone to the bathroom twice now since we started. No, I'm kidding. So California actually is below Indiana. New Jersey is the highest at 1.89%. New Hampshire, let's see, Michigan, where's Michigan? Oh, Michigan's 1.62, and even higher if it's a vacation house. Indiana is also true with vacation. Well, that's probably true of any state. They're probably a vacation house. Florida's at 0.97%. And again, that's based on the average, probably the percentage of home value. Louisiana, Tennessee, not too bad. It's 0.68. Texas is high. I knew Texas was high, but their house prices aren't that high, but their property taxes go up. And house prices are coming up in Texas. Oh, you had fire fees, extra fire fees, which they say are not taxes, so you can't write them off. Your property taxes have doubled in the last 6 years. Why? Did you rebuild something? Like I had a friend that built. He had a little house in Sherman Oaks, and he built a big house in Sherman Oaks on the same property. But he kept one wall, so the house didn't get reappraised. He kept one wall of the old house, so that it's technically just upgrades. I'm like, really? That's like pushing it. But he built like this, $3 million house, and didn't have his property tax raised. I don't think so. That's I don't know. I think that's pushing it a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, part of the reason we had many kids so that hopefully one of them will take care of us in our dotage. I'm working out. I'm trying to stay healthy. I figure I want to just kind of die of a heart. I know, right? Everybody is like, just I would love to say goodbye. So the long death might be not a bad thing, but at the same time, it's like get it over quick. I don't want to be a problem. So. Oh yeah, you can write off some of it, Peter, but not all of it. Well, in Vermont, yeah, you can write off some of it. And I think the thinking there was, and I'm in a blue state, the thinking there was that red states were having to pay the tax, federal tax liabilities that people in red states were not paying because they were getting to write off, their property tax on their $18 million house. And it was like, well, that's if you can afford the property tax on $18 million house, then you can afford the tax on the property tax. But I'm not a fan of tax on tax, which is technically what that is anyway. Any money you pay on tax should be post-tax money or something. I know that at the gas pump in California, we pay 10% sales tax, and that's on the federal tax of 50 cents. So we pay 5 cents tax on a tax, on gasoline. On top of $1 or whatever they charge, and then we have to pay 10% tax on the dollar tax they charge. So that's another. So I think 15 cents of a gallon of gas in California is tax on tax. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that the previous Congress didn't change that, Peter, Because if it was really such it brought in more money to the federal government because people had less write-offs on their 1040s. But you should still be able to write off, and even with the property tax I pay in California and the income tax I pay in California, I still don't think I get over the amount that is the standard deduction. So you're still going to get, like, as a married couple, something like $26,000 write-off right there. So because of the assumption of sales tax and property tax and income tax and all those that are assumed that everybody's paying, you get that write-off. So technically you're not paying tax on that money, but if your house is worth 10 million and you're paying 100,000 a year in taxes, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to write off. You're not going to be able to write off on your 1040 $100,000 in property taxes. So I don't know. I kind of understand the thinking there, but I also understand the frustration of, like, losing a big write-off every year. Yeah, which is funny because I think Mormon Church forbids caffeine, but yet they own Albertsons, and Albertsons sells Coke and coffee and alcohol. Or they did own Albertsons at some point. The Mormon Church did, I thought. But Stevie Ray Vaughan version, Taxman. Oh, I didn't know there was a Stevie Ray Vaughan version of Taxman. I'll have to look it up. Right? Yeah. Oh, it was bad. Oh, it was bad for the Beatles. The taxes in England at the time of the Beatles was something like 90%. It was, it was awful. In fact, there was a 90% tax rate, I think, when Kennedy took office, or 87% tax rate or something like that. And that was one of the first things he did. And funny because I don't remember, well, of course I was just born when he was elected, so I don't remember the politics or the talk at the time, obviously. But here's a millionaire who's cutting taxes on millionaires. But yeah, there was definitely, they got rid of those high tax rates in the during the Kennedy administration on the upper incomes. Yeah, I mean, because I think you could easily, in California, if you made a couple $1 million, you'd have a 50% tax bill. That's a lot. You know how hard it is to make $2 million? I mean, it's everything, in my business, everything would just have to be firing on all cylinders. And I had to be working round the clock. And I mean, again, my goal is to pay $1 million in taxes. So I guess if I made $2 million, I'd write a check for $1 million to the government, to the various entities. But I think in California, I think the top rate is something like 13.9 now or something like that. And the Fed top rate is 39. So you could be feasibly paying more than half of your income to the government. It does get to the point it's like, well, you get to September, you just stop working, because otherwise you're just working for the government at that point. Sometimes it feels like that. It's like, what? Yeah, poor Alex hasn't done he doesn't pay quarterly. So when he does his taxes, he has to pay a big chunk. I do quarterlies. So I'm like, oh, yeah. Free needles and condoms. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it does. It does, Pete. And what was happening was people. It was the Fed just doing what they do, and that's try to bring in more revenue. And yeah, but like I said, the Congress, the last 2 years, the Democrats controlled the Congress, the Senate, and the White House, and I'm kind of shocked they didn't get rid of that. Didn't change that back the way it was, but they didn't. So it must be a pretty popular tax in Washington for it to have survived 2 years. In fact, there were tax law changes in those 2 years, dozens of them, and they didn't change that one. So because now I don't think I hit the threshold. I'm real close to hitting the threshold. Like there's a max I think it's $10,000. So I go over that a little bit. So I can only write off 10,000 for property tax. And mine is, went up $100 last year or something. So it doesn't go up very much in California. So I'm very fortunate. But I try to itemize my Fed tax, but it has to be more than $26,000. So anyone who was getting the SALT deductions was if they were paying they would have to be paying more than $26,000 in taxes, at least as a couple. Now, as a solo person, yeah, you're right. For a single person, it's definitely going to be more of a tax burden. But and so that's again, like I said, they didn't change it in the last 2 years, so apparently it was a popular tax from the federal government's perspective. So we'll see what happens. But they didn't change it. But I don't know if it crushed the middle class. I wouldn't say that. There's still a very, very vibrant middle class in America. And you can tell because of the inflation and people spending money, and the job market is insanely strong. Now we'll see what happens because they want to get rid of the gig economy, which is 60 million Americans basically are their own bosses. So if they try to get rid of the gig economy, and I'm not just talking about Uber and Lyft, they have made many changes in how they operate. I just took an Uber the other day, and I talked to the guy. He had a Tesla, and he loves his job. He loves driving an Uber. That's all he does. I said, because early on when I would ride with an Uber driver, it was always like, oh yeah, I want to be a record producer, or I want to be an actor, or I want to be a musician, or I want to be this or that, and that's why they were in LA. Now it's, the last 2 Uber rides I had were in brand new Teslas, and both the drivers, that's all they did, and they loved it. So, and it makes a lot of sense to have a Tesla. I think you got to find charging stations, but you really would have a lot less gas expense. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But again, the PRO Act, which the Congress are not, well, that's the thing. It's going to be, they're not actually passing the PRO Act. It didn't pass. But the Labor Department is thinking about passing all the rules in the PRO Act anyway, which just means the next president, or if the White House changes parties, then the next president can get rid of all those rules. So, the advantage to a congressional act is it's a little bit harder to change. When it's what's it called? A resolution, not a resolution. When the president just signs a thing and says, okay, this is the new rule. So yeah, it makes it difficult. I mean, I know people out here that basically they had to stop working. They had to leave the state because they couldn't work in California anymore. Writers, photographers, sheep shearers. And the funny thing is, in California, real estate agents and doctors are self-employed, but they were exempted. And why is that? Well, and lawyers too. Lawyers, doctors, and real estate agents were all exempted from Prop 5 in California, not Prop 5, from AB 5 in California, because they had big, expensive lobbying groups in Sacramento. Well, musicians didn't have any lobbying groups, and they made it illegal for musicians to do their job and get paid cash. And I declare every single penny I make. Even when I was playing at a restaurant in Pasadena 30 years ago, sitting there playing classical guitar, and I would get $1.25 in tips for sitting there for 2 hours, I would declare that on my income tax. So I was vigilant about declaring every penny I've always been vigilant about declaring every penny I've ever made. So yeah, that's just smart, because they'll throw you in jail for hiding money. If you make a mistake or two on deductions, that's different. So executive action. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Peter. I couldn't think of executive action. So yeah, it's you should run for Congress. Go run for Congress, and I mean, living in a blue state, I wouldn't mind if that got repealed. But
then again, you'd have a lot of, multi-millionaires in California getting giant write-offs with the federal government. So that's kind of it was a us versus them thing. Most middle-class people don't pay $10,000 or more a year on property tax. And most middle Americans don't pay more than $10,000 a year in income tax, state income tax. So if they did, they wouldn't be middle class. They'd be upper middle class. So yeah, I don't know that it really hurt. I think I think I'm probably considered upper middle class, and I still don't trigger, even in California, I don't trigger because you can't file Schedule A because you don't have enough deductions. That doesn't mean you don't get the write off. You still get I think it's 26,000. Let me pull up a 1040. $2022. Boop, 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 boop. Here it is. All right, what's the standard? And it's usually on the second page. Is it? No, it's on the first page now. It's 25.9 for married filing jointly or single. That's where, Peter, this is where it would hurt. Yeah, right. Peter, this is where it hurts. If you're single and you've got a house and you're paying $10,000 in property tax and $10,000 in, well, but that's the thing. If you're paying $10,000 in property tax and $10,000 in income tax, that's 20 grand. That's more than the 13,000 that there's a standard deduction for a single person. Consequently, you would be able to file Schedule A. So yeah, I don't think and I donate a lot of money too, but I still don't think because donations go on Schedule A, and I don't think that's going to take me over the 20. A tax guy will tell me. I ran the numbers, and I'm pretty sure I didn't hit that $26,000 threshold, and that goes up every year. So boom, you take that right off your income. Head of household is 19.5, so. Yes, that's what it's designed to do. It's actually a huge paperwork saver, but I still collect all the paperwork just in case. But back when we were renting, we never could have ever taken any more than the standard. So any money I donated that went on Schedule A wasn't going to I couldn't write off. I could donate $10,000 to a charity and I wouldn't get to write off one penny of it. So because I never broke the threshold. So. Yeah, well, in the U.S. isn't a lot of debt. We'll just print money. Pay off the debt. Print $31 trillion and just pay off the debt. Who do we owe the debt to? Well, that's the funny thing is it's China, but they're not the largest debt. Canada, I think, is the largest non-U.S. debt holder, but U.S. still holds most of the debt. The Fed buys a lot of the debt. We buy a lot of the debt. Individuals buy debt. I owned some bonds for a while, which is kind of like owning debt. Treasury bills, T-bills, things like that. I owned California. See, here's a little trick, Peter. Here's what you do. First, get $1 million. Okay. With the Steve Martin bit, right? How to pay how to make $1 million and not pay any taxes. How to make $1 million and not pay any taxes. First, get $1 million. Second, when the tax man comes and says, "Where's the money?" you just say, "I forgot." Right? So the you can do what Ross Perot did. Ross Perot, I think, got paid something like $300 million to get the F off. I've got to be real careful not to curse here. To get off the General Motors board of directors or something like that. And he took that money and he put it into Texas municipal bonds. Okay, so let's say you put $100 million into Texas, into your state. It has to be your state municipal bonds. Well, you don't pay state tax on that income. So let's say you get 2% on that. It's going to be tax free, so it's going to be lower percent. It's going to be 4%. It's going to be like 2.5%. But you got $100 million at 2%. That's $2 million a year. But that's tax free because you don't pay federal government on state bonds or state bonds either. So I had, for a while in one of my accounts, I had California state bonds. I got rid of it for some reason. I think I wanted cash for something else or something. But Yeah, so all the money, all the revenue I got from those California state bonds um, were was not. I didn't have to declare it. It's tax free, federally and state. Yeah, how do you make a small fortune? Start with a big fortune. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of rich people will tell you that. So, yeah, I didn't. What did the market end up doing today? We're almost to. No, we're not too close. I know the whole SVB bank, which is funny because Alex was in a band called Savannah Van Band, and they call it SVB. Um, my son Alex, who many of you know. Now the market's up. I think the Russell's down. That's weird. Russell 2000 is down, but the Nasdaq, S&P, and the Dow is up. Why would be the Russell be down? Gold is up big. Bitcoin was up big. I'm like, really? I would think that the SWV in crypto, yeah, the crypto thing. I'm not a crypto fan. Sorry. The Nikkei was down a little bit. There was some Asian exposure to this bank. There were a lot of Chinese companies that had their money in that bank. And there was a couple banks that went out, and so banks are kind of consolidating right now. Signature Bank in New York, SVB Bank. Yeah, they're blaming Trump for that. I don't know. I mean, come on. It's like you got to keep your bank solvent. It, so we'll see what happens. But yes, right. Yeah, exactly, Peter. No, the bond thing is the rising interest rates really hurts the bond market. So um, the short people that hold long bonds from previous, yeah. So that's no fun to see your 2% bond, which you were like, I got 2%. It's falling. The value is falling. Still paying its 2%, but the value falls. Um, excuse me. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the banking stocks were up because I own HBSC. Is that what it is? HBSC. HB? No. HSBC, which is a British bank. I don't know why I bought it. I probably bought it because it paid a decent dividend, but apparently they're gonna pick up some of the SVB slack. So there's gonna be a lot of consolidation, I think, in banking. I don't think there was a run on banks like some were predicting today. That's not going to happen. The thing is, the $250,000, most people are covered by that, the FDIC coverage. And if you're not, say you have $500,000 in cash in one bank, well, yeah, you're going to go to that. You're going to run to that bank. You're going to take out $250,000. You're going to put it in another bank. So that's not technically a run on the bank if you move money from one bank to another bank. Because probably what happened on the same day is somebody at that bank did the same thing, and so you just swapped your money. The thing is, I wish the savings account rates and the checking account rates were higher. I'm at Chase, and they're just zero, basically, still at 0.01%, which is ridiculous. And I thought about taking my money out and putting it into some other bank, some cash out, just to have a better interest rate return. I haven't done that yet. But Chase, they're getting what, 7% now on home loans. They can't give me some of that. Come on. I'm giving them a lot of money to loan to homes, and they're people's homes, and they're not giving they're not sharing any of that. So anyway, yeah. So I don't even know how much I don't own that much in HP. I just bought it. I bought it because it pays. I didn't have a lot of banking stocks, and so it paid 4.8%. 4.28%, sorry. So, and if I were to go, let's see, max, and then full screen and add dividends, let's see, I can add dividends, indicators, comparison events, data range. Where's the dividends? One of the things I like to see is consistent dividend paying. If they stop paying dividends for a while, that's a red flag. Events. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, dividend. Oh, interesting. Okay, I see. I got this too. I got this too spread out. There are the dividends. Wow. Okay. Oh, I did 6. Okay. Max. Yeah. I mean, 2009 dividend, 45 cents, 45 cents, 45, 70 cents, 40 cents, 45 cents, 90 cents, 50 cents, 95. They have these weird, like, dollar, these, like, every now and then they would do this big dividend, like, it looks like once a year they do an extra dividend. So, yeah. Oh, they went a whole year without paying dividend. Oh, that was 2000 when 2020. They stopped paying dividend probably because they were like, uh-oh, what's going to happen in 2020? So, yeah. Anyway, enough of my advice. Talk to a tax professional. DeLorean. Exactly. Yeah, I guess, Sam, the gold thing. Someone said this the other day, and I was like, yeah, probably true. So 2,000 years ago, an ounce of gold would get you a really nice robe and some really nice sandals. Okay, an ounce of gold today will get you an okay suit and an okay pair of shoes. So ultimately, the buying power of gold. The other thing is, I mean, do I have gold in my portfolio? I do not directly, but I'm sure maybe some mutual funds that I own in have some gold assets, and you could buy gold mutual funds and things like that too if you want to technically. Like we never were able to buy a house. 30 years we lived in an apartment building, but I own a lot of real estate because I own real estate investment trusts, which are basically kind of like it's a stock you buy, REITs, and they pay a pretty good dividend generally. And they are by law required to pay 95% of their profits out to dividends to shareholders, middle class Americans like me. And so, fiat could go to nothing, or fiat it could go to nothing. It certainly happened during World War II for the Germans. Gold, yeah. The problem is, my problem with gold is like if they're storing it, and everything goes to heck in a handbasket, and I call the number. For one thing, are the phone lines still working? And if they are, and I call the number, do they pick up the phone, or do they just take my gold somewhere? It's like, yeah, we don't know who you are anymore. We don't recognize you. If I have the gold in my home, what am I supposed to do with it? What do they say? If everything goes to heck in a handbasket, the two most valuable commodities are going to be bottled water and bullets. So I have bottled water. Anyone who lives in California has earthquakes, but yeah, it's yeah, you have to hold the gold yourself, and it's like I don't. What if you get robbed? What if somebody breaks into your house? It's like, yeah, then it's all gone too. So I guess you could put it at the bank. You can put it in the bank vault and things like that. And again, if the bank goes under and the assets get seized, how easy is it to get? I'm sure it's still your stuff in the vault, but yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, we're done. We're venting on state government. Yeah, right, Bruce. Yeah, sorry, Meta. We're off subject now. Yeah, so, hey, Meta, good to see you. Off again. Okay, I gotta go. I should go. I've almost gone 3 hours here. But I will see you next Monday. We'll do the one last key we have left, the key of E major. We'll do a 2-5-1 in E major. Try to make it jazzy. I'm not even going to think about it between now and then. I may do some recaps. I may do some. Yeah. So, but it was a request. So to spend three lessons on a request, it's not a bad thing. So yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Exactly. Trading bullets for gasoline. Yeah. I know, it just sounds like a movie. If it gets that bad, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm meat. Just eat me. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not going to fight that hard because I'm like, yeah, it's all right. I'll just go on to glory with Jesus. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we probably definitely know what the next attack's going to look like. If there's going to be some kind of war or something, it's definitely going to be the internet's going to go down. That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. All right, more Sinatra. Yeah, you're late, but you can go back and watch. Yeah, daylight savings time, stupid. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I had to get up early yesterday too for church, so it was like, oh, it's brutal. All right, we talked about a lot of things today, but anyway, I will talk to you later, and uh, we will we will try to finish this up, and I'll do some recap or something like that, and then I got to come up with something. I may continue on what I was doing before, but anyway, we'll just keep talking about guitar. Hopefully you learned something. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Oh, what was our peak here? We got 31. Well, I thought I saw 38. No, I guess it never got up. Okay, I must have been seeing things. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Thanks, Lena, for the tip. I appreciate it.